Usually I make videos for you. Today, I'm making an exception and making one for my insurance company because they've decided that I'm too weak and feeble to use a prosthetic leg. Rude. I can no longer use my previous prosthetic socket, so this is kind of a big deal. We're in our second round of appeals, so I decided to make a movie for them to prove once and for all that I am not a complete invalid and that I would indeed use a prosthetic leg if they would pay for one. The video is exporting now. Want to see it? My dear insurance friends, my prosthetist informs me that you're hesitant to provide pre-authorization for a prosthetic socket because my medical records make me look like an invalid. This video is evidence that despite having one foot in the grave, specifically that one, I'm an active person whose health would benefit from having a leg to stand on, preferably a literal one. In April, my prosthetist gave me a test socket so I'd have something to walk with. 2 days later, I started doing this type of stuff. I've been doing these activities all day, every day, Monday through Saturday for 7 weeks while my husband's at work. I even built the floor I'm standing on. Isn't it beautiful? Because this room used to be down one step, which made my wheelchair sad. So I eased into walking by hauling 2x4s out to the table saw and cutting them down to size. I've been climbing ladders, ripping out carpet, plastering drywall, cutting tile, and building a fireplace because I'm a doer and there was work that needed to be done. Let's compare this with the months immediately preceding the test socket. Well, that was depressing. The development of a bursa in my half calf made it inadvisable to continue using my previous vacuum seal socket. I need a pin lock. There's more than one way to stick a fake leg onto a real one. A different type of socket called pin lock suspension would work for me, unlike the vacuum seal. Coincidentally, pin lock systems are less expensive than what I had before. Just thought you might be interested to know that, since your insurance and all. My previous socket doesn't work for me and made the bursa worse. A few days after walking became a literal no-go and I began using my wheelchair full-time, I started experiencing severe back pain. My physiatrist instructed me to avoid sitting, which is awkward for a wheelchair user. My body seconded the motion, or lack thereof, since sitting for more than a few minutes became extremely painful to the point that it severely crippled my activities of daily living. And I know crippled. I wasn't reclined in bed. I was literally flat on my back, which makes eating or drinking pretty tricky, let alone working or getting to appointments or caring for my children. Yes, I still need to care for other people despite my medical challenges. In addition to the reasons cited in medical documentation provided by my physicians, I'm requesting pre-authorization for this new socket for 4 main reasons. 1, I can either lie down flat or I can walk. There's no middle ground right now. You'll notice I filmed this video standing up, not sitting. My wheelchair is making my back problems worse and is simply too painful to use. And I think back problems are expensive. 2. Activities of daily living are evidently more attainable on 2 legs versus stuck on my back. I mean, have you ever tried repairing drywall with a missing leg? Given my nuanced medical situation, I reiterate, it feels like my options are all or nothing. 3. Prolonged physical inactivity leads to increased medical problems and the medical bills that go with them. Neither of us like those. Not having a leg cripples mobility, and that leads to atrophy, myofascial adhesions, and a host of other avoidable complications. The longer it goes on, the harder it will be for me to get walking again. I really don't want to end up in a wheelchair the rest of my life. The medical necessity isn't just justifiable, it's also urgent. Trying to push through the pain and to live in my wheelchair leads to increased spinal issues, phantom limb pain, etc. I worry about someday needing back surgeries or TMR surgery if I don't get a prosthetic leg ASAP. I don't think either of us want to go down that road. 4. This test socket has been a game changer, but it comes with an expiration date. The plastic isn't durable enough to last long term, so I'd really love to get the real deal before the socket dies and leaves me stranded. If I were to add a 5th reason, I'd say that I just admire you 2-leggers so much that I want to pretend I'm one of you. After all, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and I really want to be a goody 2-shoes again. Emphasis on 2 shoes. The misconception that I'm an invalid is frankly invalid. I was an athlete prior to amputation, and I'm still an active person, despite my challenges. I even rolled a full marathon 2 months after amputation. And let's be honest, most able-bodied people wouldn't attempt to renovate a house single-handedly, and I'm doing it single-footedly. There was work that needed to be done, so I got to it. But I won't be able to continue without your help obtaining a durable socket. I want to be able to care for my kids, work out, and simply live again. Considering how much I've accomplished on my test socket, as evidenced by the sawdust and flecks of paint, I hope you'll believe me when I say that I'd put a real socket to good use. A functional prosthesis is such a standard device for amputees in America that I frankly feel a little sad that I have to beg for one. A well-fitting socket would be drastically life-changing, improving my health and quality of life. So if you would pretty please pre-authorize the socket, I would be deeply and sincerely grateful. There's no need for me to be an invalid if you're willing to help me. Thank you. If you agree that I deserve a leg, then clicking like would make me feel better about myself. If you're as impatient as I am to find out whether I win this insurance battle, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any updates. This isn't the first time insurance has gone between me and my leg, so if you wanted to see a video about the first time, you know what to do.